Whew, good morning. My dog just reacted to that. Um, I'm still in bed in my van, and I get these little reflection. Um, so thankful for my propane heater built into my nice little, well, I shouldn't say little, my Road Trek 210 Popular. It's a 1995, and chai tea. Toasty warm. It got down to 30 degrees last night, but between some nice blankets and my sleeping bag and the propane heater, me and my little dog were super toasty. There's my dog. I did to Kaylee. Very thankful for that built-in propane heater and that it works well. It just sips a little bit of propane. So rambling. I was just reading a lot of posts on Facebook about a lot of people feeling pretty discouraged about looking and trying to find their van. And if you look at some of my first videos, it was part of the process of me looking at vans, having trouble with dealerships, looking at vans that were not what they said they were. And I just want to share that, your rig is out there. Maybe it's just taking a little bit longer because the person who is selling it needs to finally learn to part with their van, things like that. And I'll tell you a little bit of my process besides what's in the earlier videos. I think the first one I went to look at, thankfully, every time I went to look, I had someone with me. But I joked that where we had to go look at it, there was, let's take a right down Murder Road and let's take a left on Strangle Me Avenue. It was a scary place, and we almost turned around, but then we saw the folks, and it was a young couple, and we felt okay. And luckily, my friend was, shall we say, packing heat. So we looked at it, and it was just a freaking joke in the rig, and it was in bad shape, and they knew we were coming, and they had nothing turned on. They didn't know where anything was, and it was a rig I wasn't very familiar with, so I didn't know how to turn anything on. Needless to say, I didn't buy it. Much less when I started the engine, there was obvious issues. And for the price they were asking, I wasn't going to dive into that can of worms. Another issue a lot of people may come across is if you're looking at an older rig, trying to get financing for it is next to nothing on certain years. And I get it. They're, a lot of places value the van based on what the base is. For instance, I drive a Road Trek, and they cost more than other rigs because it's better quality. And I think that a lot of the places that do loans, unless you go into some RV specific loan place, but then you have to look at the interest rates, and they can be really high. So, it became really clear to me, even after I looked at a couple older rigs, not old, but older rigs on lots where they said, oh, yeah, if you've got good credit, we can finance you. And, I'm one of those people that I can go onto a car lot and have any car I want at, 0% finance for preferred customers, blah, blah, blah. So there's that. Now, I'm not a homeowner, so it does affect some of my credit options too. Sorry about so close to the phone. Had to put my cup of tea down. So that's something to consider too. You may just want to have, a cash reserve that you can buy something for cash. I was lucky I was able to buy mine for cash. Now, that being said, let's say you find the perfect rig and the price is too high. I wore my buyer down. I found it on Facebook Marketplace. We messaged for months and months and months, and she had a lot of people come look at it. And I'm sure she got very tired of the process as a seller. She also, had tons of rude comments on Facebook about her rig, because, people get very rude on Facebook. But, I kept trying to talk her down. I continued to work my butt off and save. I was doing my regular work and a couple other gigs, and just socking away cash. And so that's probably going to be your best bet. Now, the other thing I see is all these people saying that they don't have any skills and they're looking for no builds. They want something that's built already. And, one of the things I want to say is that, first of all, there's a ton of older rigs that are, already done. For instance, a road truck. There's other brands, Pleasure Way. There's a whole zod of different brands out there that, have a toilet and a sink and beds and stuff in it already. My rig is completely self-contained. I even have a shower. Came with gray and black tanks. As I mentioned, a nice propane heater. Even had a TV. I changed out the TV. But even had a microwave, which, I'm not going to use. I had a refrigerator. So there's plenty of those out there. So you might just need to change out your expectation on the year. So you can get something that's older. But, a lot of these, especially if you go with the premium brands, are rigs that have been babied and so cared for their whole life. For instance, mine came with a big fat folder of its entire service history. I even had the original window sticker in it. So, those are the kind of things you look for. So, the other thing is I've been seeing a lot of posts about people who are buying a rig. Sounds good during the test drive. Looks good. They know it needs a little bit of work. They start to drive it, and something goes kaput. And they just dropped every dime they've ever had in the world on this rig, and now they're on the side of the road. So don't spend every dime you have to buy it. Keep some back for reserve just in case. It is buyer beware. You really hope that people are honest, but even I told the previous owner of my rig, please tell me if it has any issues. I'm expecting issues with the age. It's not going to scare me away. Just let me know what I'm walking into. And she's like, oh, no issues, no issues. This thing leaked like a sieve the first big rain. And I'd even pointed it out where there was stains. I said, is that an active leak? Just let me know so I know it's one of the first things that I'll do to take care of it. And she's like, oh, no, that's from before me. It never leaked on my watch. Yeah. So there's going to be stuff, that's going to, need work. Now, luckily mine, needed a couple new seals, new gaskets, but nothing that really affected the engine and the motor other than some things that just need to be caught up again. So, assume that you're going to be spending money right away. And that's not even counting, depending on your state, what it's going to cost for you to do tax and title and registration. Mine was hefty. The original switching it over to my name was hefty. It was like I had to go, So you've got to plan for those things too. So, if you're going to buy a rig, assume something's going to go right away or soon. So have the money for it. I was lucky in that the person that I took with me to look at this was really mechanically educated and, gave me the thumbs up. Like, she needs a little bit of work, but nothing that's going to prevent you from getting home and driving it until you're ready to do these minor things, which is no guarantee, but it's a good heads up. So, a lot of people say, take your mechanic. Well, not everybody has a mechanic that can go with them, so maybe it's just a friend who tinkers with cars and engines and knows what this sound and that smell and, what things are supposed to look like. I'm no engine dummy, but I'm not, a real expert. And especially because, this last decade or two, maybe even, we didn't work on our own cars. Luckily, I'm old enough that back in the day, I had a teenage car that needed worked on a lot, and I did most of it myself. So I had some clue. And so that's something to think about too. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to address some of those people, and I just wanted to say, don't give up. Your rig is out there. I was getting, especially if you look at some of my older videos, it's pretty sad. I was really feeling like maybe this wasn't going to happen for me, and that, I didn't know what. I had a Mitsubishi SUV. I was starting to think that, I was starting to think about converting that over. And so any of you know, I kind of ended up with my van full time because in this housing market, I was renting a house that from a gentleman that was terminally ill. I'd known him and his family for 15 years, and the deal was to rent it from him for a year, so he'd have a little bit of income, and then buy it from his estate, to leave, something for some of his family. And he knocked on my door 6 months into it and said, hey, you need to leave in 30 days. I'm selling the house. Due to the crazy housing market here in Central Florida. And even I said, dude, at least give me first right of refusal. We had an agreement. I know, get it on paper. I offered to get it on paper, but he was like, oh no, I trust you. I know you'll do it. Yada, yada. But, with that being said, he got $100,000 more than the house was worth. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to throw away my money like that. I work very hard for my money, and I didn't want to be upside down in my house right after this market corrected. So, yeah, and the house needed work, at least it needed a new bathroom and blah, blah, blah. So, I didn't want to get that deep into that house. So, I was on a time crunch, and I needed a rig, and I was starting to feel like it wasn't going to happen. And I was very lucky in that some snowbirds offered me their house for a couple months while they were gone and things like that. And then I started house sitting. But, even with those things, it was just going to be for so long. And the right rig came exactly when I needed it. Really needed it for real. It would have been nicer to have it sooner. But, it happened. So I'm going to say your rig is out there, okay? Don't give up. Also, don't discount yourself on your skills. Some of these YouTube videos, maybe you're watching the wrong ones, and it's making it look too scary for you. Some people say, well, I don't have the tools. Well, guess what? I'm going to bet some people that do have the tools, and they'll probably loan them to you. I have a friend who has every tool on the planet, probably. She might be missing one or two. And, she loves the company. I go to her driveway, and I work on the van. She often helps me, and I can pick her brain for ideas. And, it's just amazing what you can do. And you know what? Guess what? You make a mistake, you try it again. A lot of times I work with reclaimed wood, so if I mess up the wood, no big deal. It didn't cost me anything. It's wood that I found on the people were throwing out. A lot of times, when I go to Home Depot or Lowe's, I look for, if you look back in one of the corners in lumber, there's a section of ugly wood, pieces of wood that are slightly broken, something's wrong with it, and it's half off, So, I'm working with, if you really am good and you look to save on materials, you can. For instance, I added 2 small drawers in my kitchen area, and one I used for spices and one for teas and stuff. Those drawers were in like a little console kind of dresser thing on the side of the road. I just pulled out the drawers. And so I have beautiful dovetail hardwood drawers that I just had to build, the little frame to slide them in and out of. So, just get creative. Think outside the box. And that might be one of the things too. Look for those YouTube videos where people think outside the box and use, don't build things from scratch. They upcycle something. And so when you go to do any of your changes, do that. Now mine, it didn't have to have anything done. I just did stuff because I wanted to. I wanted to really personalize it to me. And, I added power banks. I took out the old inefficient refrigerator, and I'm using a very efficient IceCo true compressor refrigerator that just barely uses energy, and it's super efficient, and it really works well for me. So, and then one of the other things I can say too is when you start to do modifications to your van, take your time and maybe live in it a little bit. There were things that I thought for sure I wanted and needed, and I want it to be this way or that way. And after I was in it for a little while, I was like, ooh, sorry, dropped my phone. I was like, ooh, thank goodness I didn't do that, because I want it this way instead. So don't be in too much of a hurry. Your van's not going anywhere. It's going to be there with you. Take your time, live in it a little bit, see what the things that you are and aren't going to like. I'm constantly refiguring where I'm putting stuff, and I'm sure that's going to be a lifelong thing, tweaking and tweaking and tweaking. So I just wanted to say, you know what, we've got a new year coming up. If you haven't found your rig, don't give up. Your rig is out there. It's waiting for you. You're going to find it, okay? Just go for it. So I'm going to do a couple videos here real soon. I know I'm behind on getting my videos up of the modifications I've done. I didn't realize how much work doing some of these videos are. I'm going to start doing simpler videos, but I'll have those up pretty soon. I'm going to do a video up here coming soon of some of my favorite things in the van, like things that I bought that I use, and I'm so thankful for, and I'm so glad I found them. So I'm going to do a couple videos like that. I won't do one big video with everything. I'll kind of try to maybe break it down into things that I love for the kitchen, things I love, I don't know. I'll figure it out. So I'm going to do that. So that's going to be coming up. And I want to start doing some more kind of like just what it's like to live in the van. So like this morning, I'm super comfy. I'm super cozy. It was a little colder night before last, so I just had on, I wore a knit cap on my head, because, you lose most of your heat out the top of your head, and I was fine. And I do have a little, I forget the name of it, it's a little puffy heated blanket from Sierra Madre. It's with a DC battery pack. That thing is so toasty. I've used it for tent camping before, and I just have to grab it out of storage. Of course, we had this cold snap, and it's still sitting in storage. But that being said, I'm gonna put that in one of my favorite things too about keeping warm. But yeah, and maybe I'll do a video like that, keeping warm in the van, keeping cool in the van, things like that. So. Don't want to make this one too long. Just want to check in. I want to say Your van is out there. Your van, your rig, your whatever. It's out there. Don't give up. It's there, okay? It's just waiting for you. It's waiting for things to be right. Trust the process and just know it's out there, okay? I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.